as he prepares to face off with Vladimir Putin this week. President Biden saying he agrees with what Russia's leader told us about relations with the U.S.
I think he's right. It's a low point.
Top of the agenda for their high-stakes summit, cyber warfare. Recent attacks on U.S. infrastructure, some linked to Russian-based criminals, have raised concerns over a new Cold War. Putin tells NBC News Russia is not to blame.
Mr. President, are you waging a cyber war against America?
Where is the evidence? Where is proof? It's becoming farcical. We know it well. We have been accused of all kinds of things: election interference, cyber attacks, and so on and so forth. And not one time did they bother to produce any kind of evidence or proof, just unfounded accusations.
The U.S. intelligence community has produced evidence of Russian hackers targeting the federal government and meddling in U.S. elections. And this year, the U.S. has seen multiple criminal ransomware attacks extorting millions of dollars.
Russian-speaking criminals, is the allegation, are targeting the American way of life: food, gas, water, hospitals, transport. Why would you let Russian-speaking criminals disrupt your diplomacy?
You know, the simplest thing to do would be for us to sit down calmly and agree on joint work in cyberspace. We are willing to engage with international participants, including the United States. You are the ones who have refused to engage in joint work.
The Biden administration has been insisting Russia should not harbor cyber criminals. The Trump administration called Russia's offers to talk disingenuous. The Kremlin has been accused of violating existing international cyber agreements. Now the Russian leader admitting to NBC News he is concerned that the US can target Russia.
What people can be afraid of in America, the very same thing can be a danger to us. US is a high-tech country. NATO has declared cyberspace an area of combat. That means they are planning something. They are preparing something. So obviously, this cannot but worry us.
Do you fear that American intelligence is deep inside Russian systems and has the ability to do you a lot of damage?
I'm not afraid, but I bear in mind that it is a possibility.
When President Biden sits down with President Putin, he's expected to raise the cases of two Americans who the State Department say are unfairly convicted in Russia.
Paul Whelan and Trevor Reed. They are two former Marines. Trevor Reed is suffering from COVID in prison. Why don't you release them ahead of the summit? Wouldn't that show goodwill?
I know that we have certain U.S. citizens who are in prison, have been convicted, but if one considers the number of Russian Federation citizens who are in U.S. prisons, then these numbers don't even compare.
And on the prisoner swap question, is that something that you would consider?
Yes, of course.
Russia has proposed a prisoner swap before. Secretary of State Blinken saying the Americans are being held as political pawns. President Putin insists he can work with Biden on complicated issues and build a stable and predictable relationship.
Let us sit down together, talk, look for compromise solutions that are acceptable for all the parties. That is how stability is achieved.
President Biden says, one time when you met, you were inches away from each other. And he said to you, I'm looking in your eyes and I can't see a soul. And you said, we understand each other. Do you remember that exchange?
But I do not remember this particular part of our conversations, to be honest with you. He probably has a good memory.
But the Kremlin has been cracking down on political opponents like Alexei Navalny, a Putin critic who was poisoned and is now in prison. President Biden has vowed to raise Navalny's case when they meet.
A Russian court has just, a Russian court has just outlawed organizations connected to Mr. Navalny. Literally every non-systematic opposition figure is facing criminal charges. Mr. President, it's as if dissent is simply not tolerated in Russia anymore.
Well, you are presenting it as dissent and intolerance towards dissent in Russia. We view it completely differently.
Will you commit that you will personally ensure that Alexei Navalny will leave prison alive?
I proceed from the premise that the person that you have mentioned, the same kind of measures will apply, not in any way worse than to anybody else who happens to be in prison.
His name is Alexei Navalny. People will note that you
I don't care.
to say
I don't
that
care.
he would leave prison alive.
For now, both sides are downplaying how much progress can be achieved at this week's summit. And after the interview, guys, President Putin continued the conversation with me off camera, leaning in, keeping eye contact, urging me to believe him, for example, that he believes that in the West they are funding opposition groups here in Moscow now. And maybe that was the former KGB officer trying to use his powers of persuasion. Or maybe President Putin is not just a threat, but feels threatened. Understanding who President Putin is will be crucial for President Biden when he sits down with him this week, guys.
Fascinating interview, Keir Simmons, for us. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a really interesting interview. And actually, he had some very choice words for Trevor Reed, who is one of the Americans who's jailed in Russia right now.
And in fact, coming up in our next half hour, one of the parents of the Americans who could be involved in a potential prisoner swap right there. They'll join us live to respond to the Russian president's suggestion. You can see more of Keir's exclusive interview with Vladimir Putin throughout the day on MSNBC, NBCnews.com, and tonight on Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.